Welcome back to another episode of Deca Debrief. I'm Sam/CW Girl. We have a number of guests here today. We have our own member, actually, of our staff. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Erica, or Dr. Z with a K, whichever you prefer to call me or recognize me by. And if you're not entirely sure who I am, then you're probably not on our Discords that much, so go check those out.
We also have other special guests here with us today. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
My name's TSPage. I make some YouTubes occasionally.
I'm Surfie. I'm just the owner of the Lost Boys Discord. Well, I guess I'm part owner, but I created it in the first place. So yes, that is who I am.
Nice. So we do have a Patreon, guys, patreon.com/decadebrief. We want to give a special thanks to everyone who's donated on our Patreon so far for helping keeping our show alive. We have sponsors. We have Lost Boys, Realm Slayers, A-Trappers Ideas Discord, and we want to give a special thanks to Silver Dollar for shouting us out every week. Now that our advertising and plugs are covered, let's see what the game's been up to since our last episode.
Starting off on this week, since last episode, the most recent thing that had happened was the summer sale blowout that Deca did, where they had 3 packages and a few others that were kind of copies of it with their whole fire, water deals. And each was supposed to be at outrageous prices, but in extremely limited quantities, and they were at very irregular times whenever they were released. So, touching on those limited quantities, it looks like they were doing sets of 10, followed by 20, followed by 35 every 6 hours or so, with the first 10 costing only 3,200 realm gold, which they claim is an 80% discount, followed by 5,600 gold for a 65% discount, and a 7,200 gold pack for a 55% discount. And again, on those limited quantities, a set of 10, a set of 20, and a set of 35 for about 8 packages that were mostly just clones of each other, where the first was a set of every mini skin pack that was ever released. So you have your Jeb, you have your Scold skin. Was Scold a skin?
They have Mini Malice.
Oh yeah, Mini Malice.
I don't think Mini Malice was actually in that set.
What the mini?
Yeah, that was the one that I was hoping for the most, but I didn't see it there. The second set that was released was every ST weapon ever released in one pack, and I was really hoping that that would be every ST set. That would really make that, package sell, but they only stuck to the weapons for some reason. And the final set that they were releasing, or package, was 12 vault chests and 10 ambrosia, which, if you're a starting out player, is like the most godly deal that's ever been released for Realm of the Mad God. So just like a point of order, how do you guys feel about the limited quantities that they were doing? How they did that 10 followed by 20 followed by 35, considering the player base of Realm of the Mad God?
It was pretty expensive. I mean, there's only a small percent of diehard fans, I think, that were super interested in getting it. I mean, because, if you were to buy all 8 of those packs, you added up, that's a lot of money.
There goes a whole year's of rent.
Just assuming you went with just the cheapest ones alone, the 3,200 gold for all 3 packs, because I think it was limited to 1 per player, or 1 per account. If you bought one of each at the cheapest price, it'd be $150.
Yeah.
Oh man.
The items, it's a lot of those things you can get in game anyways. It's not like you're getting stuff exclusive to, say, a mystery box, where you can only get certain items from the said mystery box. So, I don't know. I wasn't going to take a jab at it.
The thing is with the mystery boxes is that I think it's certainly okay for them to be doing the skins and stuff, because every game now almost has a skin mystery box, pretty sure Overwatch has that kind of thing. I don't really play Overwatch, but I'm pretty sure they do.
Microtransactions, yeah.
Yeah, CSGO has the mystery boxes thing. So a lot of people think it's scummy. I don't mind that for aesthetic things, but when they're actually putting the weapons that you can get as a drop in the game into the mystery boxes, it's just not something that I'm okay with. But if it was just restricted to only the character skins in these boxes and the ambrosias and stuff, I think having the limited time deals is a really good idea. People will definitely go for that, and I don't think that they'll do that frequently. It'll probably be just maybe a group, a cluster of them during the summer like they did, and then there'll probably be another cluster in the winter, because just knowing Deca, I don't think there's always people who are willing to pay full price for them, so you can't be doing that all the time.
Now, one of the things that bugged me the most about this package deal that they were doing was their odd release times, because the first sets that rolled out, the limited 10 quantities for the cheapest prices, came out at midnight UTC. I think that's 11 a.m. EST, and then 2 a.m. Pacific. So you really had to stay up late, and it was a Saturday morning for that. So I guess it's not too big of an issue with like school or work or anything like that. But the following sets came out, 5 hours later, and then about 6 hours later again. They did really weird intervals that seemed like they favored European servers, unless you were going to stay up all night and wake up at maybe 5, 6, 7 in the morning.
If I'm not wrong, isn't Deca German?
Are they?
I'm pretty sure they're a German
Are
company.
they?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it makes sense if that's the case.
I wonder if this makes us a German podcast.
Wow, das ist Metaverse.
That explains why.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
actually an argument in leader feedback recently about a leader not knowing German and getting downvotes for it.
Wow.
It was
Wait, why were they getting downvotes for not knowing
I
German?
have zero clue.
Oh, Surfie, also, didn't you tell me something about the price of the boxes being messed up?
When they released them, some of them were like not discounted unless you restarted your client.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was a major mess, and I don't know if anybody got refunded for that.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of people just complaining, and rightly so, because they had to pay the full price of it because, they didn't restart their clients, they paid for it, they didn't get that discount.
Has Deca come out and made a statement that they were going to be addressing this?
They're probably gonna do a huge statement at the end of Bottom G.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of things to complain about, and people will find things to complain about even if they're not much of a thing to actually complain about. I feel like getting pretty much not scammed, because I mean, when they went to buy it,
They
like,
willingly paid full.
yeah, like they
price.
saw that the price was not what it was supposed to be, and they did it anyway. So that's kind of on them. But I definitely think that they should have just from the very start priced them at the price that they were supposed to be for the discount, rather than doing that, rather than actually taking a number and then taking a percent of that number, doing a math calculation in the game. Like, it's just silly.
It sounds like
know.
it might have been a scare tactic, considering they said that they had limited quantities and that if you were lucky, you'd be able to get the third package. If the first thing that people see is the third package, they might think that they're might be sold out already and that they have to buy now.
It's just unfortunate that they screwed that kind of thing up, and it kind of makes me wonder if they're going to do it again just because of how bad of a screw up that was.
I mean, I imagine it was financially very successful on their part.
Well, yeah, but I it's just a really scummy business practice to do that.
Definitely.
Advertise something in advance as one thing and then turns out as something else.
It's almost like this has happened in event chests this month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
I mean, they say that they're never going to roll back like the drop rates for the chests, and then like what was it, the leaf bow thing? Was it leaf bow, or what item was it originally?
The one a while ago, like the original ones with white bags, or are you talking about event white?
Oh no, it was Ice Tomb chest event.
Yes.
Yeah, it was the Ice Tomb chest event back then where originally the drop rates were insane. Everyone bought keys, they went nuts for it, but then all of a sudden the drop rates were nerfed, and then after the event they addressed the issue and were like, yes, we nerfed the drop rates and we're sorry about it, and in an effort to maintain transparency, we won't ever do that again, or at least we'll let you guys know. But then with the whole, the ice cave thing again this past
With the ice cave, now this is going to sound very, very odd. I honestly think there was either a lack of communication within their business, like within Deca itself, that caused the drop rates to either be typed wrong when they're scripting it or coding it or whatever. Because I don't think they meant for that item to be that common.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think with Ogmer, it's a little bit different because a lot of the people thought that it was dropping too commonly, so I don't think anybody was super upset about them nerfing it. Meanwhile, the ice tomb items are like things that drop once a year. So like you can't. And there was a lot of them too. Like they nerfed like a whole bunch of drop rates. It wasn't just like one for an item that everyone was like, okay, this is kind of dropping too rarely. It was items that people were like, oh, this is my one shot a year to get it.
Yeah.
And now they made it impossible to get.
Yeah, it was mainly the ice crown back then because everyone was getting one out of every 3 runs, it felt like. And then like the patch rolled out, everyone reset their clients and stuff, and I was doing them at the time. It was just like no one was getting it. I was like, okay, this feels off. And then of course, we know what happened.
Yeah, with that, with the augmers and them changing the drop rates over the course of 2 hours, because I remember it very specifically. It was 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. It was a 2-hour period when it had an outrageous drop rate, and then you could almost see it across almost every Discord, the drop rate dropping. Like it went down dramatically, and people were getting them less and less and less, and that bugged the hell out of me because I was at work at the time. I start work at 6, right when the event started, and 2 hours into my shift, I saw that the drop rate was terrible. So whenever I got off work, excited for this event, I would have to deal with whatever drop rate Deca had decided to change it to, and I just feel like it would have been a lot nicer, even if they were going to change it as a result of it just being such an issue, even if they had to make a drastic change, just to leave it for 24 hours, make it a full day cycle. So it's not so much we fucked up, but more there was an error, so for the first day of this event, it's on us.
Yeah, and then make an announcement before you change it. You can't just change things like that. Like I feel like they've done a better job with that with all the updates that they've done recently, is that they usually hint towards it or either put something on testing before they drop it, because back then that was before the testing server came back up, right? Pretty sure. Yeah. And then so yeah, there was like they would update the game with new things, like a random chest event, and nobody would even know about it. Just lack of communication, like you were saying.
Yeah. The fact that it was so quick of a change, people were saying it was a bait and switch. I think it was a mistake. People are gonna spend
I hope it was a mistake.
I mean, if they
scam.
spend all that, if it was a bait and switch, then that's really, really bad. But like, if it was a mistake and a lapse in communication, then that's kind of understandable. But they need to address it.
I would also like to say that it would be nice to see if Deca could incorporate a sort of like update log into their actual game's API.
There is there's not like a log, I don't think, but they do have like the little update thing that comes up when you join the game after there's been an update.
Well, what I'm talking about is more along the lines of League of Legends, how they have on their like loading screen their launcher. You can click an update tab and it has a very detailed list of all of their changes. If they could just make it a tab in the Realm of the Mad God launcher.
Yeah. Instead of posting it on the subreddit.
Exactly, instead of relying on Reddit, and if not Reddit, then Discord.
Or at least make a you can have it on Reddit, but give the link to it on like the loading screen, and that way people will click on it more commonly.
So the Lost Halls event has been live for a little while now. I think we are on our last day today. The event chest drops after defeating the Marble Colossus, and you can enter the void without popping any vials. It's basically a free void. What are your thoughts on it so far?
To be fair, a lot of the Discords did kind of prepare for this, and the fact that pretty much every Discord in the day or two leading up to the event was purely running cults to stack up on vials. We wouldn't have been able to handle the amount of voids that we would have been running, but we would have at least had a start. And there's still the occasional people that wanted cult. We could have dealt with it, but I think it was a good idea. I like it because I'm a raid leader and it makes things easier on me. I don't know. I think the fact that they didn't put it after the chest after void makes me think it was like, it's an event. It's supposed to be nicer, and it's supposed to have more loot, and I guess that's part of the whole thing behind it. The part of the event itself is not just the chest, but the free void as well, I guess, in my eyes.
Yeah, I felt that people, at least in our server, failed to recognize that we were literally getting free voids. Like, it wasn't like, saw the chest and they're like, oh, this chest is so bad, and then they like, I'm done doing this event already, and it's like, no, you're getting a free void, and we're just doing void runs over and over and over and over and over again. So like, You can't complain. I really enjoyed the event. I was just mildly disappointed when the update dropped, and I was up at 5:30 a.m. and I was like, we don't need vials for this.
Yeah.
And then like I was like, we spent so much time just doing mostly cult runs in the past month, and well, I mean, we now we have a bunch of vials to use, but it was just kind of unexpected. Nobody really predicted that. Like, people were trying to predict like what's going to be in the chest and stuff, but we didn't really think outside of the chest. Ha. That was a bad joke, but
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. How do you guys feel about the chest? I mean, it's only NBC whites and, you know, like the top tiers.
I mean, I personally hate it because I haven't gotten anything worthwhile from the chest yet, and I probably won't because I don't have any time to do the event tonight. As soon as we're done with this, I gotta go work on homework. But I have literally the only things I've gotten have been from Void or from Marble Colossus itself.
Yeah, I actually like the chest has treated me kind of nice. I mean, I've led 25 runs so far, and I've sat in on like 15 to 20, so I've done close to 50 runs, and I haven't been like home all too much. So when I'm home, I'm doing Lost Halls or playing Rocket League pretty much right now, and most of it's Lost Halls. So chest has treated me pretty well. I'm pretty sure I've gotten like 3 or 4 Star Mothers, quite a few Worm Hides. I haven't gotten a Dominion. I got a Colossus Sword, but I haven't gotten any Void Whites, I don't think. But the chest has treated me pretty nice. I think it's Lost Halls is intended to be a super, super long dungeon, kind of low drop rate, but I think that the chest should have been a little bit more generous, and I also think it should have been after Void.
I disagree. I actually liked it being after Marble Colossus.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why they would do it after Marble Colossus, because there's a lot of people that aren't comfortable enough to do Voids, and by the time the chest was over, and let's say we had 70 people finish Marble Colossus, there's some runs where we would have 60 to 40 people after the run is over, which normally it's more than 40, but 60 to 40 is generally the range after Void's finished, so there's a lot of people missing out if it was to be, so I could understand it either way.
At the same time, you have the chance of dying in Void after you've gotten your loot from the Marble Colossus chest, so...
Yeah.
There were a couple I nexus from just because in one I had gotten the what was it, the Armor of New Life, the Breastplate of New Life.
You're one of those people.
Yeah, and then I got the potato, and the voids got a little too sketchy, and my side would collapse, and I would move to another side, and that side would collapse, and it would be down to one side. I'd be like, I'm not going to lose this item. I really want this. And I would leave.
You won't have that problem with Lost Boys. Unless you're running with us, then I take it back.
It was one of those other Lost Hall servers that sucks. Don't worry.
How has leading and raiding been during this event?
I mean, as I said, I've been doing quite a bit of both. I've done 25 or so raid leads. Haven't failed any of them, which, you know, that's my standards. Overall, I'd say that there was a short period, where there was a lot of new players that had just joined the server, because there was like, oh my gosh, there's a Halls event, where's a good server to go? And they were looking around, and it was happening all over the place. I mean, not just our server, but like there's a few first 2 days, there's a lot of people that wouldn't listen. It was always the bottom left corner that was stacked.
Oh, come on, that's still happening.
It's still happening, but it's not as bad. But bottom left corner would have like 30 people, and all the other groups would have 10, and it was kind of entertaining to see how people wouldn't move, but it was also kind of obnoxious. But it's slowly gotten better. That's the only gripe I've had, really, as far as raiding goes. Other than that, our runs have been pretty clean.
For raiding, I guess I'll start with having to fix the raiding bots for the server. Is that a day before, actually, I guess the night before, because the event came out 4:30 a.m. my time, I think. So the whole evening before, I spent completely redoing our bot to actually function well for the event. But then eventually we got into the event, so and it's been working fine, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy about how it's gone so far with our server. I just feel like like, because this is the first event that they've ever done for Lost Halls, and it brings new people into the dungeon, and a lot of people have always been afraid to do it. Seeing it bring people who like really don't like Lost Halls in to do Lost Halls makes me happy. All of the servers to have lots of people. I don't want like one Lost Halls server just because there's like 3 or 4 active ones. I don't want like one to snuff the other out. I'd like them all to be able to be successful in their own way and have different styles of how they lead, different styles of how they run the place, etc. And whatever one you like most can be the one that you go to just because you like the style of how they do things there. So it definitely helps with that to have an event there, and I hope that they continue with events in the future.
How did you start up your server?
Well, like in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So Realm Raiders was a Discord that I made that had about close to 1,000 members. And it was pretty much like an EDZ, but not EDZ. And we were going to do Lost Halls as well in it once 2.0 came out. It was actually probably a couple weeks out from Lost Halls 2.0 releasing. I started working on the new Discord, and then after Lost Halls 2.0 was released, we did some small like cult runs for a bit. So this was Lost Boys. This is actually Lost Boys now. So we did some small cult runs for like a month or so, but then after a month we started actually completing voids pretty consistently. At first, whenever we tried to do voids, we'd either die or like 12 people would make it through at the end. So it was kind of bad.
Yeah, that was back when like, so to start out like the server, because I remember this pretty well because this was good old days. Like we were, for the first month that he was talking about, we were pretty much exclusively a cult Discord. And some people liked it at the time, but then we were also losing some of our interest because we weren't doing voids enough. So we had to start setting it up to where like 35, 40 people was our number. And that's generally considered small now, but 40 people would be when we would start our void runs. And I think that was the only time I ever failed a void on one of our first void runs ever. And it was just no one knew what they were doing yet because we hadn't done it in that server. But it was like for that first week or so of trying to merge into doing only voids, or not only voids because we had so many vials, but like when we were trying to convert into doing like voids every other run, it was a little rough stretch, and then kind of built the server off of that though.
If you were to scroll all the way back up into like the screenshots channel, to the very top, all you would see is a bunch of screenshots of cult skulls because that was like the only white bag people ever got. Because we didn't do voids or marble colossus.
I remember somewhere around the beginning of Lost Boys being made. It was just whenever I joined LHZ, and I had heard about Pub Halls, but Pub Halls was the like I guess poor man's Lost Halls server. That was the general consensus back then, like about maybe 3 or 4 months ago. And then Lost Boys came out. That was a like less strict LHZ in a sense. So I checked that out with my brother-in-law, and we had done a couple runs with you guys. It was around the time, I guess, that you started doing voids, because these were void runs. But the RLs that were in charge, they would not stop joking. Like, they did not take their run seriously. It was nothing but jokes. They would unmute people in chat and, like, mess around with them. And then I think we did 2 runs with them. One of them was okay. We didn't finish it. It was definitely a failed run. But the second one, the RL died, and then he unmuted somebody to RL, and then that person died, and then they unmuted a third
I
person,
remember
and
this
that person
exact run
died.
because I was the one who was getting PM'd to unmute people.
It was so tragic.
Yeah, I don't think this was one of my runs. I don't remember that at all. That's
Honestly, I'm pretty sure that was a Nightblade run. I am actually fairly certain it was a Nightblade run.
That sounds very familiar.
I never really unmuted people. Only if it's a need. I don't do it unless I absolutely have to. Or Yin Yarn or Talwar's in there, then, we sometimes make an exception.
So after those 2, I definitely stayed away from Lost Boys for a while. But then Raven said that he had become I believe he became a raid leader or a moderator on Lost Boys. One of those roles.
RL.
An RL. And that was when I decided, okay, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's check this out. And the way you guys set up the bot, the way you guys, how you have your raid leaders doing everything, the guidelines that you have, how smooth runs go, how quickly they're done, everything is just beautiful now. I don't know what happened in the time that I was gone, that 2-month gap, but it is an insane change.
Yeah, there was we had a little bit of like we had to try out leaders, I guess you could say, because like there's a lot of changing of leaders for the first few months, because some of them were from the original Discord, and then they got like they didn't convert well, I guess is a kind of rude way to put it, but they didn't do as well leading Lost Halls compared to like just any old dungeon like Shatters, where we wouldn't do like the organized runs, but we would pop them and stuff. So like not all of them converted over from the Realm Raiders Discord, and then sometimes there's a reason they're called trial leaders because they're trials, and so we had quite a bit of people, and we needed to find the consistent base. Is kind of how it looked from my end. I mean, I've been a raid leader for like what, a month since the Discord started. After the first month, I've been in RL ever since.
Yeah, I mean, and even before then, you were leading 1.0 in pub halls with me, so.
Yeah, Lost Halls is unique, as in, like, it requires much more proactive leading as compared to other dungeons like Shatters. Like, as long as people know how to do Shatters, it can be done. Like, same with other dungeons, you don't even need a leader. But Lost Halls is just so much more efficient when there is somebody who's directing that entire group, directing all that DPS, and just, like, delegating everything.
Yeah, I mean, the only dungeon that's really comparable to it is Shatters, but even then, it's still far off from it because it does take a lot more effort on the, I guess on everyone's part when you're in Lost Halls, especially with HP scaling. In 1.0, didn't really matter how many people you had leeching in the back of the group, because the amount of HP on the enemies was never going to change. Meanwhile, in 2.0, if you have people who aren't participating, people who aren't shooting at things, it's just going to take you way too long to clear. And overall, I mean, it's been kind of nice with 1.0 or with 2.0 because they definitely made it a shorter dungeon, I guess. So it's not as short as Shatters, because Shatters you still get done in like 10 to 15 minutes, but it's like more like 20 to 30 minutes almost around. At least with our Discord, it's usually like, unless we like hit every dead end, it's going to be around 20 minutes to 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's really nice because there's really no more dead ends unless you're like you get a rusher and then there's no respawns. You go the wrong way, you don't have respawns, you don't have breadcrumbing anymore. Like Lost Halls 2.0 is so much more of a dynamic and straightforward dungeon, but still you can have that feeling of lost, I guess, because of how many different ways there are to go. But at the end of every path, there is still at least something there to tell you, like, oh, you're on your way to pot room, gotta go back, you're finding your way to cult, or you've found Marble Defender, and you did a good job leading if you called all the directions and stuff like that. I don't know.
Other than securing vials and making sure that everybody was doing cult runs and stuff like that, was there anything else that you guys did to kind of prepare the Lost Boys Discord for the event?
Crashers. We prepared for Crashers. Luckily, we did a very... I don't know if this is a great way to put this, but we had a lot of nice Crashers, if there were Crashers, and of the very few bad Crashers we had, we were expecting a lot of Crashers to come along, and there were not that many. And of the Crashers that were there, most of them just wanted to do runs and not have to deal with people trying to, like, people would try and drag on them, and they didn't want to deal with that, even though a lot of them are hackers. But, a lot of the crashing that we prepared for, we didn't have to deal with, because maybe they were with other servers, I don't know. But it was not that bad, but whenever we did have one, most of the raid leaders that I know of were able to take care of it.
Yeah, I mean, the crashing issue with our server, I think the reason why we haven't had crashers during this event is that LHZ is actually running again. Because a lot of them are people who were banned from LHZ, so they're currently crashing them instead of crashing us. At the same time, I also think that our server handles crashers and as well as like suspensions, bans, etc. like we just handle those in general better than some of the other servers, just because a lot of the other servers will ban it like the first sight of anything. And I feel like we show a lot of sympathy to people who break rules. We don't have a lot of crashers, honestly. Like, not nearly as many as like the Peach Discords. And I think that has to do with just the way we run things.
I'm glad that you guys bring up crashes as a topic on this on the segue. It was a beautiful segue for something that I wanted to talk about, but it didn't get to jot down on our notes. Whenever we had brought up our partnership between the Deca Debrief Discord and the Lost Boys Discord to kind of further the word of both, it became a very
Controversial.
because there were a few that were claiming Lost Boys was a sort of safe haven for crashers. And there's a bit of that upsets me, because I actually had to sit down after this whole conversation on Discord. I sat down with my fiance and I talked about it with her for a good half an hour to an hour. She also plays Realm, just to kind of help make sense of that. But we were talking about the nature of crashing, and in both of our opinion, there's essentially 3 types of crashing and only 2 are malicious. And one of those is if, say, you're going to do a Lost Halls run and 120 people are in queue. That's 120 people that are waiting for a dungeon to open. So if somebody crashes, then that means that somebody who was waiting to be a part of this group and was doing everything right loses their spot because somebody wanted to kind of butt their head in. And then the other form of malicious crashing is whenever somebody jumps into a run and starts dragging, starts stasising, starts decoying at really inappropriate times and just ruining the run. But then the third type of crashing, which is not malicious at all, is whenever you have a run that's, say, 40 people and they just pop in to help out and they're doing everything to contribute and they're not being negative in any way. They're not trolling, they're contributing to DPS, they're doing their part, and people will still witch hunt those crashers. They'll see somebody that doesn't belong and they'll want to get them banned from Realm of the Mad God entirely. And there's so much negativity around that, and I feel like there's a line that people need to see. What are your guys' opinion on that, and how do you guys handle that sort of like level of crashing?
I agree that okay, so I don't have an issue with people who just like kind of just end up in our run on accident, like who aren't verified. If they're verified in our server and they're entering a run, if they do it on accident and we notice, we usually say like, oh, go join queue, we'll drag you in, so we'll bring them in, and then it's fine. If it's somebody who has been previously banned from our server and they're crashing our runs, that's when it becomes an issue. If they're banned or if they're suspended, because the penalty for being suspended is that they're not supposed to be able to do runs with us. So if they're just crashing us, that's not cool, because they're not really enduring their punishment for breaking our rules. So that is the way I see it.
Pretty much what he said. I don't know. I mean, I don't get mad at me for this. I have a few friends that are crashers, but the primary reason I'm friends with them is, one, they're cool people outside of the decisions they make when crashing, and two, sometimes you can make friends with them. And you can't always prevent them from crashing, but you can prevent them from doing crashes where they'll drag. You can prevent them from killing people in your runs.
I mean, I'm friends with Sean Poop, and he's a nice guy, but then for some reason he just loves to drag things.
Yeah.
I don't understand him. He's so odd, and he just I don't understand it.
And I think you can be friends with them, but just don't be don't promote their actions as far as crashing. I don't like their decision to crash, and I think it's kind of pointless. Now, if they're banned from every server, then I feel like there should be a way to get back in if they don't crash for let's say a week or two, and then it's prove to me that you're good enough to get back into the Discord, and we'll allow that. But if they're just permabanned and they start crashing over and over and over, then it's that's just over the top.
I have one more thing to say about this whole thing, and this is just basically a message to the other Discords, I guess, is that it's very annoying when I get private messages from people from LHZ. It's mostly from LHZ. I've had it from SBC a couple of times, but it's mostly LHZ. I always get messaged and they're like, are you aware that this person did this in our Discord and they're banned from our Discord? And I just kind of ignore it at this point because, like, I don't really care what they did in your Discord, just as long as they're not actively doing it, and just as long as they're, if they're not harming our runs and they're not actively doing it, then why should I suspend them? Because obviously, like, they're trying to get a fresh start by being in our Discord now. And if they're not doing anything wrong, then why would I suspend them? They don't have, like, LHZ doesn't have any authority over my decisions, so.
TSPage, I'm sure you were, well, I hope you were a little shocked whenever I messaged you through Discord to try and get you on this show. It was, I want to say 3 or 4 days ago that I had just heard of your name. My fiance was watching a video on YouTube because new Rebel the Mad God videos pop up in her feed all the time. And I heard a voice that didn't sound familiar to me, so I was curious. I was, who are you watching? And she tells me, TSPage. He's doing a Lost Halls guide. And I was like, so there's a YouTuber that's doing realm videos for Lost Halls during the Lost Halls event, and this went under my radar. How? So I checked every Lost Hall server. It wasn't hard to find you, and that's how you ended up getting on the show. It was, it's a pleasure to have you, and I'm excited to talk about, the video, your channel, stuff that you make for the community, and what that's done for you.
Yeah. So the Lost Halls guide that I made, oddly enough, kind of stemmed from our earlier conversation of seeing people that didn't have a clue what they were doing, that were just recent to runs. So I kind of made that for those people that had never really run Lost Halls before, and it wasn't meant to be a Tower guide or a Bikiri Box guide, whatever you want to call it. It was more of a intro to raiding guide rather than a guide of the dungeon itself. Like, there's lots of things I know I missed, and not on purpose, kind of, because I wanted to keep the video short. Ironically, it turned out 30 minutes, but Lost Halls is it has so much depth that if I were to make a dungeon guide, it would probably be an hour and a half video because there's so much to cover. So this was kind of getting people, this was just a video of a raid that went very smoothly, that had lots of good clips in it, that I could translate into a video that people could see and say, okay, I can recognize that enemy, I can understand what it can do, and I can understand what I need to do to it. So, obviously, Crusades commander pushes in a group. I say, oh, okay, that's that guy right there. I'll, zoom in on the Crusade commander, and then say,
I remember that part.
You gotta stun that guy. And then for the Orc spawner, zoom in on the Orc spawner, and then, just tell him you gotta stun that guy. If we have a Mystic, you can stasis and push him and basically skip a phase. But yeah, I went into a lot more detail in the video, but there's so much to do in that video that it was if I wanted to do a full guide, it would be so much longer. But yeah, most of my videos on my channel, though, or at least the ones that I do really well, I spend money on the game. I go in, I click on a mystery box a few times, get something insane, and then people click on it because I'm spending money and they don't want to. And if I do bad, then they get to laugh at me because I spent so much money and did bad. So I think I don't see a lot of people doing mystery box openings, or at least I do them. Honestly, my most viewed video is my worst mystery box opening because I had copyrighted music in it, and so the whole front section of the audio is cut out right leading up to the time of when it happened. So it's everyone's like, what's wrong with your mic? What's wrong with your mic? And it was just yeah, some problems. And it was, I left the music in there for the longest time. And it was just the quality of the music anyways was bad. So I was might as well take it out. So yeah.
When I was 14, I was always watching Pokemon card pack opening. It's like the mystery box videos kind of thing.
Yeah.
Those were the OG mystery boxes.
I plan to, so with my channel, obviously I'm pretty much only realm based right now, and I do both videos and streams. I stream, excluding the weeks of Lost Halls event, I try to stream 2 to 3 times a week on YouTube, not Twitch. I might start on Twitch once I get my new computer all set up and stuff like that, but for now it's just on YouTube. The reason I haven't expanded to other games is because, one, I don't have a new computer. Realm is the only game I can really run and stream at the same time, and that's fine with me for now. And the reason I want to expand to other games, while I'm still kind of small right now, is that way I can try and reach into other communities, and they say, oh, he uploaded a Rocket League video, that's pretty cool, or he uploaded a insert game here. He uploaded a video on that. Let's see what his channel has, and they come to Realm through other communities, because right now we're a pretty like niche community, I'd say. So my goal in the far future, though, is to expand into other communities to bring other people to this one, because after the port to Unity, I think servers will be able to handle more people. But for now,
Making some bold claims there.
yeah. I mean, well, I think that once they get ported to Unity, the game will be far better. It'll be more efficient, and the servers will be able to handle more because of the nicer platform. Because Flash is poorly optimized, especially with Wild Shadow's initial coding with Kabam's overlays and stuff. I've seen people look into the game code and say, whoever started this did some terrible things to the coding, because that's probably why the port to Unity is going to take so long, is because there's lots of errors in their coding, which is how there's a lot of bugs and duping and stuff like that. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to that port to Unity, and I think I can reach out into other communities in the future and try and bring people to this one as well.
Back to the thing that you said about the guide video, though, is that I challenged Tall War to make a Lost Halls guide. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I challenge him to do that.
Hey, Tall War, if you listen to this, I'll work with you.
So, touching on one of the subjects that you brought up, because that was a lot to take in, you mentioned that your gambling videos are probably your most successful, and I don't mean to make that sound negative. I mean, trust me, that is a brilliant idea. I've seen a lot of videos covering that very concept, because gambling is the sort of thing that is reserved for adults. So whenever they incorporate it in any form of video games, and there are so many children and teenagers playing these video games, it excites them to see something that they normally don't have access to. And that is a very popular concept in CSGO, and I know you do some videos on CSGO, so I was wondering if that's taken any hold on your CSGO videos, and if not, maybe if you'd be considering it, because those definitely seem to be receiving a lot of popularity.
As I said, once I get my new computer and stuff situated, I'm going to be trying to expand into other games, and I will definitely do crate openings, box openings, whatever, in those games, because, it's kind of a thrill. I mean, you're usually going to get screwed because that's how they make money, but, it's always a fun thing to do. I mean, you're usually losing money, but with YouTube, you can actually make it back. I mean, I don't make any profit off of those videos. I uploaded it at the start more for fun, and now it's like, oh gosh, I have a semi-decent, pretty small following, and so now I've got to actually pump stuff out. I won't be doing anything till after my computer's done, which I'm still like halfway to being able to afford it, because I'm trying to do big upgrade, but we'll see. But once I expand into other games more, you can definitely expect it.
As a quick question, which one of you would say that you have better experience leading Lost Halls runs?
So 1.0, I want to take that one.
Yeah, I'd say you.
For 2.0, I'll give Surfie this.
I know 2.0 inside and out, so.
So, follow-up question. Surfie, since I'm assuming you've watched TSPage's Lost Halls guide, and since you're such an experienced Lost Halls raid leader, how would you grade it?
Just like the video in general, I think it could use some more edits. Honestly, the guide wasn't bad though. Like, I felt like it touched on everything that needed to be touched on. I just like the part how the part on Void took up like most of the guide.
Yeah.
But like that's honestly how it goes. Void is pretty far above the rest of the game. The only thing that's really comparable is, I guess, Marble Colossus and the Nest boss.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's good. I feel like Void, MBC, and the Nest boss, just whatever, are the only 3 real good bullet hells we have right now.
Yeah.
As well as, if you have a small group and you're doing second boss of the Shatters, Rage is pretty fun.
I kind of personally like, I feel like Parasite Chambers does a good job. It's easy bullet hell, but it feels like bullet
Ooh,
hell.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
actually like Parasite Chambers.
So, how has the community been taking your tutorial so far? Like, have you seen any mention of it on Discords? Have people been messaging you? How are the comment sections looking?
Comments are looking all right. Obviously, I'm gonna get comments going over stuff that I missed, and there's some good ones there. Most of the stuff, the whole idea of the video wasn't to be a perfect in-depth guide that covers everything. It's more of a get to know the dungeon, welcome to raiding kind of thing. And so there's stuff I skipped over, but as overall, I think the feedback was really good. Let's see, like 20 to 3 dislikes or something like that. So 23 to 3, I think is what it is. Something like that. So, overall, it's good. I don't really get PMs over videos, except for in games. I get recognized in game occasionally, and I try and respond to pretty much everyone, but other than that, not too much.
So, what's been your most and least favorite event from this month?
Well, I would say my least favorite's a hard one. I would say I think the reef was pretty lackluster in my eyes. The reef itself I like as a dungeon, but the event wasn't that great in my eyes. I was out of town unfortunately, but I really liked the look of the Shaitans, and I wish I could have done it. But as far as favorite event, I'm gonna have to go with Lost Halls event, of course, because I've gotten more new tops and more, just more new tops than I have since actually started raid leading. Because until now, I've been extremely unlucky with top tier dungeons. Like, get this, took me over 700 shatters to get my first bracer. Okay?
Oh,
And that was completed shatters. So that was 700 like first boss, like 400 kings and whatever second bosses, and still none of the other 2 white bags. That kind of makes me sad inside. So, but other than that, Month of the Mad God. It's been overall pretty good. I didn't care for the Ice Cave event, unlike most people, because if I get an Augmer, I'm just like, I'm gonna get it my legit way. I did some, but I did it more for fame than an Augmer, because it was like probably not gonna get it. So
Yeah, my personal favorites were, of course, the Lost Halls event and the Parasite event. I feel like Parasite Chambers event was really good. The chest was really good. I got a lot from it. I got 2 spells and 2 of the scepters. I also got the ST wand from the sorcerer set, and that wand is amazing, by the way, in case you didn't know. It's pretty much a Debo, but on a sorcerer. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to use. The Lost Halls event was really good. I just wish I actually got something from the chest, aka breastplate, because I've never gotten a breastplate, and it's like the only white that I actually want now. So I'm at how many Marble Colossus whites? I think like 8 Marble Colossus whites or something, maybe 8 or 9, and I've gotten no breastplates, but like multiple of everything else. So
I've only gotten 4. As I said, I'm pretty unlucky when it comes to top tier dungeons. It's just, I do so many of them, and at this point, it's beyond the point of expecting to get something. It's at the point where I expect never to get anything, and I do it just more for the life and mana.
I was really happy just because of the free void, because I did the one drop that I am happy that I got was I did finally get Omni. My only other white besides Omni was a potato from Marble Colossus. It wasn't even from the chest, so like.
what was your favorite drop this month?
I guess Omni.
I would say probably. I could go with some of the white bags I've gotten, but I would honestly say the new tops. Because of how few I've gotten in the past, I think that's more cool to me because I've gotten multiple of them, and so it's just the cumulative new tops. I think really just kind of stuck out to me, as well as getting 2 brains, one of which is now in my pet's belly, which is kind of weird, but.
My other favorite drop, which isn't an actual drop but a mystery box item that I got, because I rolled one of the art boxes 4 times and I got one of the jackpots on it.
You talking about the night skin?
Yeah, I got the night skin and the mini whatever the mini Nikau or whatever the dragon's name is. I got that.
One. I know which one you're talking about. I've got that one.
So, on to the guest questions. What Lost Halls tips do you have for someone who's never completed a Halls, never attempted one, or for someone who's just started playing and has heard about them but is too nervous to try one?
Do a Lost Halls. You can't, if you don't just jump in and do it, you're never going to do it. That's how I was when I first started playing the game, or not when I first started playing the game, but when I came back in like 2016, after I had never really gotten super deep into the game. And I was afraid to do like shatters and stuff, and like I just like started doing shatters, and like my first shatters, I don't think I would even play the game today if this didn't happen, but the first shatters I ever did, I got a bracer.
Oh my, I'm so mad.
Ever was just a bracer. Very first boss. I Nexused after that. I got the bracer and I was like, I'm out of here.
Oh,
You were right,
I
too.
swear, games like this have a way of rewarding people who just came back. They gotta get you with a hook. I swear, all games like this, you play consistently, you gotta work for your white bags. You come back after a year or two break. Happened with me. I got a Ancient Stone Sword. I got one of those pretty much like immediately after coming back, like first orcs after like a two-year break, and it was just okay. I like it again. And it was like, that's such a good pull. If it's intentional, it's genius. If it's not, then it's just really like a huge coincidence.
Yeah, I don't know if you know the player Tally Slap, but him and I are friends, and
What?
his name is Tally Slap. That's his username. So he hadn't played for like, this was when we first started Lost Boys. He had been on like a hiatus for like a month or so before that, and like he came back and went to like farm a realm. Like first event he did was a hermit, and he got a jug. Like hadn't played the game for like a month. It was just ridiculous.
Oh yeah. Also for the Lost Halls, we went off on a tangent. My video does get you in there, It'll give you a good little guide. But other than that, like Surfie said, you just do it.
Do you guys think we'll ever get a UT weekend exclusively for Soulbound skins?
Nope. Money. I mean,
Okay,
you
next
spin the box. I mean, you get this. You spin the box. You know what you're going for. I don't think they'll ever.
I really hope so, but I don't think it'll happen. I would love to get the Lady Knight skin, and I would love to get like all of the Knight skins. There's so many good Knight skins.
What are some of the most notable experiences you've had with hackers?
I was recording, went to Nexus, saw a hacker drawing spirals and other shapes in Nexus, and that was a interesting thing. They also knew how to type and spell. A couple of those spellings included KYS.
Jesus Christ.
So hackers can be entertaining if they're just there for entertainment. It can also be pretty obnoxious. I got stream sniped by a 80-man multi-boxer, and I was trying to pop dungeons with my stream in a bazaar, and this freaking multi-boxer of 80 wizards just followed me everywhere I went for a solid 30 minutes, and that stunk.
I guess there was this one dude who auto-nexused like a couple weeks ago. He was AFK like a couple rooms behind the group, and I was there with him like trying to tell him to go back to group while we were doing a raid. This was in Lost Halls, of course, and someone like dragged a bat or something on him, and I was like yelling over the mic. I was like, dude, you're gonna die, you have a bat sitting on you. And then like at like lower orange health bar, he disappeared, and I was like, oh, I see you. Like obvious, it was the most obvious auto nexus I've ever seen.
Favorite anime?
I hate these guest questions.
I like them, they're good.
I mean,
If you consider it an anime, I only watch, like, I'm a Pokemon fan, Nintendo fan, everything like that. So when it comes to Pokemon and whatnot, I gotta watch the anime just kind of religiously. Outside of Pokemon, though, probably like Naruto or something. That's kind of a fad right now.
I think it was a fad 10 years ago.
No, you don't go to my school. Everyone just started binge watching it, and everyone's talking about it in the hallways. I'm like, you serious?
Are they still called Narutards?
No, because it's like the football team and stuff too.
Okay, my favorite anime is Dragon Ball Z.
Either of you ever pursued romantic courtships with the same sex?
I mean, I've never pursued one. Not really.
Has one pursued you?
Did you just find yourself in a courtship? Did it just happen one day?
Define courtship. Like
Like a relationship.
okay, who talks like this?
Courtship.
Who
as
sent
in,
this
like,
message?
You're courting someone.
I know, but
as
it's
in
not like the
you're trying
1800s
to-
anymore.
This is how I normally talk. Sorry.
Wait, did you ask the question? I think the answer is no. I can't give you a definite answer though, but I think it's no.
Answer is no for me. I don't date pretty much anyone right now. Dating in high school's a hassle and very waste. Not a waste, depending on who it's with, but for the most part, dating in high school is not worth your time or money. And so, I just kind of avoid it. Something happens, but, dating overall is a no, and especially not with...
It's better if you save that money for Realm.
Yeah, I guess, I'll spend a couple boxes, get extremely lucky, upload it, and then get 3 views. Just kidding.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
It really depends on how I'm feeling, but most of the time I would say pancakes. For some reason with pancakes, like whenever I eat them, like I just like get like a subtle hint of like dirt taste. Like if you were just like eat dirt. I don't know why. It's just some like weird mental thing. I don't know if like when I was a kid I had pancakes that had gotten dirt on them or something, and now I just remember that, and now I just taste dirt every time I eat them. But it's not every time I eat them, but like sometimes. And it depends on the pancake. So in that case, if I'm tasting that, I would be like, nah, I'm gonna have some waffles instead now. So I don't know. It really depends.
How about you, Sam? Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh, before I really liked waffles, but man, I had these pancakes over the summer, and ever since then, I've been a convert.
From about 3 years old to 6 for myself, my mother worked at Denny's and gave me pancakes for nearly every meal for 3 years straight because kids eat free at Denny's. So I hate pancakes with a passion, and I would have to say waffles.
Welcome to Denny's.
I hate Denny's so much.
Have either of you had experiences with guilds, such as Antagonize, The Run, or any other guilds that go out of their way to break terms of service and ruin runs?
Yes.
What's the one that we?
The Run.
No, the other one. There was the golden fleece.
Oh.
Golden Fleece.
Yeah.
They like threatened to hack our Discord and like steal my Discord account or something.
Oh my gosh.
And like I'm pretty sure Thanesir told them to do it, and I'm still here on my Discord account. I don't know.
Yeah, The Run. They crashed my runs for around 2 days. I don't remember when it was exactly, but it was kind of entertaining because at first I was just like, the people were saying this is The Run, and it was all caps, and eventually it started turning into spam. It became like a wave. I mean, it was just there was no controlling it. It wasn't even people in the guild by the end of the week. It was just everyone was like, this is The Run, and I was like, you're kidding me, right? They're a bunch of TOS breakers and hackers, and it was just like, oh. And so, yeah, it was entertaining for a little while, but after a while it got obnoxious, and I think they got bored of it, so.
Was crashing more of an issue in Lost Halls 1.0? Or is it more of an issue now that Lost Halls 2.0 is out?
1.0 for sure, yeah.
So apparently, because all these questions I have to ask, if you could date any of the NPCs from Lost Halls, including Cult and Void, who would you choose and why?
Oh wait, let me find which one it is. Hold on. I gotta figure out what cultist it is. There's actually like there's a correct answer to this.
There's a correct answer.
Yeah, there is.
Well, I can rule out some because Spooky Boy seems kind of flaky. I mean, there for 45 seconds and then they're gone forever. Sounds like a certain girlfriend I've had before.
I think I found which one it is. Hold on, let me make sure. Wait, do they have this dialogue listed? I'm pretty sure it's Dirge. He's the guy that goes, what is this? And it sounds like the whole, oh, whoa, what's this thing? So, because like when you know how like when you reach the cultist boss, they all start saying things all at once, and they're like,
It's very kawaii.
yeah, he's like, what's this? It just makes me think of, oh, whoa, what's this?
Gosh. I don't know. This is a hard question because there's not very many feminine. Oh, wait a minute.
I
don't
think there
know.
are actually 0 feminine.
I'm not answering this question.
If I've gotta pick one,
no.
You know, I like to spice things up in my relationship, so I would want a follower of Malice. You know, nice, hot and spicy. That's so cringy, but you know, I gotta go somewhere with it. I don't know what to do. This is such a weird question.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
But imagine what that slime could do to you.
Oh god.
No.
All right, on to part 4, announcements. So we do have a Patreon, guys, as said earlier in the episode. We're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. We have Piggy, we have Pika, we have Shaxi, we have Refgal, we have Tom Food, we have The Mothership, we have Adam Shogun, we have Iode Star, we have Klingeris, and we have M. Gorix. Thank you guys so much for supporting our show. It's very much appreciated. And if you do choose to sponsor us, we do have special episodes available for the viewing. That can include bloopers and such. That can include Raven saying some pretty spicy things. That can include some really romantic clips from some of our guests, I must say.
Okay, I got some things to say just as my final wrap up. So we got Lost Boys, you know, you got to join them. I assume that'll be a link in the description. I don't know if my channel will be, but that'd be nice. Also, shout out to your boys, and then Mothership. I heard you play Rocket League. I'm pretty much a champ too. Hit me up if you listen to this.
So, this show is written, produced, and edited by myself, Erica Starr, and CW Girl, voiced by myself and CW Girl.
We do have an email if any of you have questions that you would like to add to our next episode or ask any of our guests. Our email is decadebrief@gmail.com. The link will be in the description. We want to give credits to DJ Quad for being both our intro and outro song. Thank you very much. We want to give props to Generic, who has been making our cover art. This has been Deca Debrief, and you can consider yourself debriefed.
Yeet.
See you later, guys.
Thanks for having me, and see you next time. Peace.
Thanks.